Chapter 1 Death comes to us all. Adarsh was in a hospital bed supported by ventilation and barely holding his feeble body. All he had was a functioning brain, and what he now does with it is just self-reflecting on his life and what has become of himself. He thought, as Confucius said, "We have two lives, and the second begins when we realize we only have one." Perhaps I now know more of what I am and what life I have. But what use it is now? Is there any hope? Perhaps miracles do exist? Silly me, what am I even spouting? But a year had passed by, nothing had happened, only his sickness further claiming his body. He knew death was close and nothing could help him. Time passed by like this usually. At the end and beginning of the day, his parents always came to meet and talk with him. In the weekend, his younger brother also came. With such frequent visits, he now had deep love for both his parents and his brother, and this caused further aching in his heart that he was not able to see how great a family he had and why he couldn't give more love and respect them at his past. Perhaps you do ignore the heaven's door if it is right under your house, is what he thought at these moments. He also had great sympathy and felt pity and heaviness in his heart seeing their faces every time they met. Perhaps it was much more painful to see them than to persevere through this sickness. He thought to himself sometimes, I had just entered fucking engineering college and was just beginning to feel freedom of early 20s. Damn it, what a weak lungs I have. I had only smoked for a month or so. Damn, I still remember the first time it was fucking awful. I almost vomited. Also, I had this feeling of nausea and had urges to go to washroom. F****K. I thought that was it, and that after I had tasted cigs for the first time I would quit right then. Haha. Who would have thought that it will go as what everybody thought and had said? In the end, I became an addict. Ugh. But still, it was just a month of heavy smoking. I thought I wouldn't have a king cancer. Seriously, nobody should smoke. It is really dangerous and really takes lives. But I guess until one has suffered, one will not take it seriously. But in my case, isn't it too late to realize it? Man, I must have set a world record to get cancer as fast as possible after smoking. Haha, this is all like God is playing a joke on me. His time passed by just like this, thinking such thoughts along with some melancholic thoughts. The darkness of the night settled down like water as the time drew near to midnight. The wind whistled through, causing the dust and sand to swirl up, being scattered in the air much like mist or fog. Adarsh peeked through the window, seeing the world outside. It was the season of spring. It was a scenery serene and proud, ever blossoming. As I rest now on this bed, I look at the trees blowing a little in the breeze through the spring wind, and it usually gave me extremely desolate feel. And I have seen them innumerable times. But somehow seeing the trees this time is soothing and is a transcendent experience. I see how marvelous it is, and I think to myself, I had these here all in my hospital admission. How many of such trees have I seen in my life? But had I really appreciated them? And the fact is that I have not, until now. In a way, it makes the fact of death even difficult to accept. It brings tears to my soul. Suddenly, he had some uneasy feeling from his guts. Perhaps it was his body, suggesting the time to meet Yama, the hell god, had finally came. He was now more seriously and perhaps for his last time thinking of his life and the events within it and what he has done with his life, what he had made of himself. He wanted to savor every part of his consciousness. Before all this sickness, was there perhaps anything he could change? Or something he wanted to change, so that his life would have been much fuller with virtue and satisfaction and filled with meaning and would be valuable to both the society, his parents, and himself. All things are only speculations now. With the leisure of this end time, looking back at himself, there was nothing he could be really proud of, no accomplishment, no drive and ambition, no will. Nothing. Only an emptiness. A type of emptiness which doesn't take anything inside, nor devour anything that comes in contact with it, but one which just sits there and is unfazed with things and events and emotions going around it. Just dullness was what surrounded his psyche his whole life. This sickness just had ended this life earlier. This was perhaps the only difference he had. Had he not gotten cancer, perhaps his life would just go the same dull, boring life, which just is breathing but not living. It would have ended like such an old age perhaps, but fundamentally the quality wouldn't have changed too much. Ah! As he felt his soul trembling and doctors rushing in to check his condition, he could feel his life slowly going away from his body. Thump. Thump. In his dying, his only final wish as a human in this earth was that may his family get past his loss and live a happy, peaceful, and calm life, and may his brother be not like him, and instead be a man of great virtue. May his family and friends lead great and happy lives. His one major regret, perhaps, being that he couldn't see his family before dying. He just wanted to see them all. But man proposes, and heaven disposes. Perhaps it was much better to just wither like this. It would have been too painful for his family otherwise. Too painful and sad for him as well. I should also die with peace and smile, so what if I couldn't do much in this life and be what I truly wanted to be, and instead wear a mask to satisfy the society and peers of mine, and was so into it that I forgot it was just a mask and it wasn't the real me. But the question being, what is real me? I still don't know. I just wish. Nothing. I don't wish anything, for it is what is. I shall be in peace with whatever it is now, whatever I am, whatever I was, and whatever I shall be. For death is nothing to me, since when have I ever lived? When I am, death has not come. When death has come, I am not. But still there is this unanswered question of what will become of me. I shall be reborn? Perhaps if chance may arise, what really lies beyond life and death, I shall be among the ones who have known it now as well. No need to think too much about things one has no control over. Death comes to us all. While he was waiting for his death suddenly, he could feel a light started to shine on his forehead. It seemed like other people couldn't see that light. Afterwards, the light started to dim, and suddenly out of it an object popped up. As Adarsh saw the object, he could now suddenly remembered what this object was. It was a pendant formed of light with symbol on it. Then, a jade-like glow started to glow from the symbol with gold like divine glitters, like how dust is seen with the sunlight lighting on the air. It was magnanimous, simply beyond anything he has ever seen. It's as if the light has been there eternally, as if breathing, as if dancing in the darkness, as if something capable of even redeeming the devil. The glow fell on Adarsh's forehead. It was very domineering, yet very subtle and calm and ever forgiving, and it gave a relaxation feel to it. He was now in supreme state of calmness. The light in his eyes were different. It had a different glow to it. Suddenly, he could hear i.e., sound all over his head as if it was coming from within his own soul, and suddenly the same sound came from the pendant. It was sound beyond this plane. It came with it thousands of emotions, sensations, that even Adarsh himself had forgotten. The two sounds started to harmonize and reinforce each other. At this moment, Adarsh felt as if he was one with the entire consciousness of the cosmos, as if he could see clearly the ultimate essence of the cosmos and reality itself. Huge amounts of information started to flow in his soul, and it was as if, for a brief moment, he had achieved moksha and reached nirvana. He gradually lost his consciousness, and then the pendant dispersed into light it was before, and it went back in his forehead and inside his soul. With this, suddenly there was no trace of his mortal soul in this mortal earth, as if he had gone into the cycle of reincarnation and into the abyss.
Interesting information. OHMM is a sacred sound and a spiritual symbol in Hindu religions. It signifies the essence of the ultimate reality, Brahman, and consciousness or soul, Atman. Chapter 2, Transmigrated. In a faraway place in a different realm, there was this planet tens of size of the Earth, but it looked pretty similar to Earth as a blue sphere. It had one moon as big as Mars revolving around it. But what it differed from Earth was that this was the planet filled with mana, or as some may call it ki, unlike Earth, which had negligible amount. In that planet, on its largest continent, located in the southernmost region of its eastern peninsula, there lied quite a small country that went by the name Republic of Kratos. Inside the capital, in a small house, there was a couple trying to wait for the good news to come. Safer Apollo was there waiting in anticipation and had face of surprise, anguish, strength and virtue and happiness, as if he was awaiting for his greatest gift that the Lord had himself prepared for him. Waiting for his greatest gift that the Lord had himself prepared for him. It was indeed so, for he was waiting for the news of the good childbirth, for his child was coming to see this new world. He was waiting outside, as he was not allowed in the room of the childbirth as Priestess had told him and his wife, so that if they wanted the child to be born with perfect conditions of astrological situation, and wanted to guarantee the safety and future health of the child along with the safety and well-being for his wife, it was best for him to not come. Such was the superstition of this place, where the father was separated from the mother while she was giving a childbirth. Despite the moment where she needed the support of her husband the most, she was denied that comfort, for she was also a warrior, and their religious stigma had too taken in that warrior ethos and embraced it fully. But it was not a 100% foolish thing as this, because the priestess was also using her specific modification of healing magic, along with other magic, which was made confidential to help in the childbirth, and reduce the mistake as much as possible. One could say that due to this weird traditional, religious, and cultural mixage, perhaps there was far few casualties during the childbirth. Suddenly a sound came from the inside of the birth room. "Congratulations, Senor Apollo's sister Sophia Apollo has given the birth, was without any casualties. You have a son. Come on in." Hearing this, Safer was very delighted. It didn't matter to him whether it was a baby boy or baby girl. What mattered to him was that both his baby and his wife was safe and healthy. He entered the room through the arched door. There was a bed in the corner of the room, with the legs of bed having the cravings of the mythical creatures, and above it was his beloved, and she was holding a baby covered in smooth cotton clothes and small blanket. When she saw her husband, she said, "Mr. Father Happy now. Look, just how beautiful is our son. His face is just like the sun, ever bright. Look how he blinks his eyes as if he is seeing something weird for the first time. Look at his cute, astonished face. Priestess Samargaya, is this okay? Though my boy has not cried yet, is he healthy? Is there any problems perhaps we are unaware of?" Hearing this, Samargaya replied, "Oh, no need to worry about such things. I have heard from Freya that once she also had seen such an unusual scene. It is just something rare. Perhaps you can see it as a face of good luck. No need to worry much, he will cry soon afterwards." "Okay, then my work here is done. Unfortunately, I have to go to help another childbirth in the evening, so I will not be playing with this cute little devil. Haha. Okay then, I will take my leave." Astonished with hearing this, Sophia gave a weird look to her husband. Seeing the gaze, Safer told Priestess Samargaya, "Priestess, here, take this as a donation for helping us in this predicament." Priestess told, rejecting the donation of the, "How can I take such wealth? This is the duty of mine to help people in such needs. I can't accept this." Safer didn't get pushed over by such remarks, and he forced his hand full of one artifact and pushed it lightly towards Samargaya's hand and said, "Sister, you must also see things from our side. My wife was in severe condition before. If it weren't for you, God knows what would have happened. You have come to us like a messiah. How could we be rude to you? Please understand, use this in the light of God. Please give us some face, and don't make us feel embarrassed, or else how can we face God? Please." Hearing this, Samargaya became relaxed and accepted it and said, "All right, I will use it for church's work. Thank you. Now go and enjoy the gift God has given you. Again, thank you so much for your service. All right, let me show you the way first," said Safer with a satisfied face. Where am I now?" As this thought appeared on baby's face, the baby boy gradually gained his consciousness and was astonished. He looked at the couple, and it could instantly be seen from his face that he was in more of horror than in shock. He shouted with his baby lungs as much as he could, but instead of a loud sound, all that was heard was a feeble crying sound of a delicate newborn baby. Adarsh could hear the lady speak. At hashtag dollar at hashtag at dollar hinabala precariax yobashalma turidhena ola banner casto tension mother. Hera tabudo. At hashtag at dollar. Then a tall, broad-chested male replied, hashtag at hashtag, asterisk hashtag, at y hashtag estai tahoni. Janikariax, kehudena hera ta casto mukbanako esel timro jastai xa. At hashtag, at hashtag, at hashtag. Hearing this, Sophia gritted her teeth and pouted. Adarsh couldn't understand a word they were speaking. However, after some time it was clear that this couple was indeed his parents, and that they meant no harm. Now with his somewhat calm mind, he began to look around, and started to understand his situation. So, I have reincarnated in this new world? Or would it be better to say that I have been Iskaya that too, without the help of Trucko and Haha? So what kind of world is this? Pondered Adarsh. Whatever it was, he was deeply in thanks to the fate, and the pendant, and to God that he had been given this second chance. They really seem to be like my parent in this world. By that it seems, I have been reincarnated as demi-human. But wait, my dad seems to resemble more like a demon. Wada WDF. Now what? Chapter 3 information from the pendant. It had already been a month or so since Adarsh had reincarnated into this world. Till now he had yet to gain any info about this world and what it is. Lingering in the shadow, there was something even more concerning. The pendant that made all this seemingly impossible thing possible. It must be something highly valuable. Now remembering about the pendant, Adarsh now finally reminisced where he had seen that pendant in his previous life on Earth. It actually a pendant that was seemingly on the road back to his home from his high school days. Seeing a pendant which carried such a religious value dirted by the road where seemingly nobody had cared about it, even though he was not that religious, but he couldn't bear to see the pendant being in such a pitiable state. And thus, he had taken it to home with him and had washed it. During some exam term, he had taken that pendant as a superstitious symbol in order to pass his final internal exam, despite him having learned null. Such is a life of a student. Even atheists become super religious just to pass in the exam, wear all sorts of religious charms to increase their luck. Adarsh had also been like that. This time it did prove out to be a lucky charm for him, as he was able to cheat in the exam very well and copy answers from his friends, and so he had passed. Remembering such a pitiable state, he was back that even he was embarrassed now and happy at the same time. A smile which didn't seem like a smile was hung on his bright mouth full of vigor. The thing was, there were no further memories of the pendant in his memory. After thinking for a few moments, he exclaimed in excitement, "Oh, I remember finally!" He remembered that at that night of the exam he had slept wearing that pendant, but when he woke up it was not to be found anywhere. Thinking now perhaps it had then gotten inside his body and had connected with his soul or something like that. Now he had at least solved a part of this mysterious puzzle. This pendant really seems to be a powerful entity. Not only was it capable of reincarnating me, it did so with my memory being exactly intact. In fact, my memory has been even improved. But why didn't it save me from dying at the first place, seeing how powerful it is? It could easily cure my cancer. Or was it that lung cancer was even accelerated by it? Forget it. Let's not talk about such infuriating matters. If it did in fact try to kill me, then there is nothing I could do about it. I should learn to let go of things. However, as the saying goes, curiosity killed the rat. He soon drifted into the thought of pendant. The even more mysterious is the fact the knowledge I got from the pendant during my final moments of the death. It was surreal. Taking a deep breath, he pondered again. It was really magnificent. It was as if I was the reality myself, as if I know everything. But that was just a fleeting feeling. What remained of that is the knowledge passed down by the Darth Reliant Senpai. It was really a well-documented info. It even briefly told me about the general structure of the whole cosmos. It tells us that basically the universe is divided into three major realms. 1. Heaven Realm 2, Mortal Realm 3, Nether Realm. And when one dies, one is sent into the Nether Realm where their own judges amount of sin and good deeds done in that lifetime. Depending on that, one suffers different amount of suffering for different interval of times. It is to be noted that the life before previous life sins aren't punished, as they were already punished before. Furthermore, if one had done enough good deeds, one may even get the chance to be reborn, or one would say transmigrated to heaven for a brief amount of time, depending on amount of good deeds done, of course. There, if one is lucky enough, one may even get to meet the gods and gain insights and teachings of the Tao from them. Now wait a minute, who are these gods? They really do exist, don't they?